Hello and welcome to the StrangePlay podcast, episode 5. Can you believe we're on 5 already? I'm Rick.
I'm Simon.
And this week we're going to be talking about our earliest gaming memories. We're going to be ranging from all the old school consoles, and this time it's not just me and Simon. We threw a question out there on Twitter. We wanted to know your earliest gaming memories. A few of you responded, so we're going to be doing that too. So take it away, Simon. I'll let you go first. I'll let you get this whole thing started off, seeing as it was your idea.
Right, okay. I think everyone remembers the first game they played. Mine was Space Invaders in a cabinet in a working man's club. When I was a kid, I was a perfectly behaved kid. I was like one of the few kids that were allowed in the best room, with the snooker tables and shit. And boy, did I pester my dad to fucking put 10p's in this Space Invaders thing. And it was the beginning of a love affair. Like, I wasn't really bothered about other stuff. I wasn't bothered about playing football. I wasn't bothered about all that other shit. Pointless. Video games, like, this is where it ignited for me. And it wasn't just Space Invaders. It was Pac-Man and Galaxian and Phoenix and all those games that you just used to shovel 10p's in. Yeah, Kung Fu and oh man, I get teary-eyed when I see stuff like that, because it's like, man, I remember going back like 20 something years, maybe 30 years.
Yeah,
it's like, oh god, yeah, like I really get pangs, because for a lot of kids that are into gaming now, that's pie in the sky, innit, for them.
Yeah.
They don't know what arcades are. They don't like they don't really exist anymore. You can't go to a chip shop and play Street Fighter, or they just, that stuff like that just doesn't exist. It was very much of its time. It was very 80s, and it's sad that it's gone. I understand why it's gone, but for many people of my age, that will have been their introduction to gaming. So that is the very, very start of my journey. The next part of my journey was when my parents noticed that this sort of stuff was my world. I got a Commodore 64 for one Christmas. I think many people got the Commodore 64. I know someone not a million miles away from the other side of this mic got one.
Like, my first gaming experience and stuff is, like, my earliest memory. Like, yours sounded quite happy, but like mine was quite sad. I remember playing my dad's Commodore 64, but my parents broke up when I was 5, and I got my dad's Commodore 64 as a hand-me-down when he bought himself a Mega Drive.
Right. Which Commodore did he have? Did he have the bread bin one, or was it the grey one? Because there were a brown one, wasn't there? The original, and then there was like a reissue.
It was the keyboard. It was just the keyboard that you plugged the
cassette tape into.
Plugged the cassette tape into it, and it was probably white at some point, but my parents smoked, so it was kind of yellow. Yeah. It was yellow, but I had an absolute fuck ton of games on it, like so many games. But yeah, like I loved that machine, and I used to integrate it into playing, not just like playing games, but like we'd have friends around and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say all the kids all had Commodore 64s, and you'd all swap games and stuff. It were a very social thing, wasn't it, back then?
Yeah, but like what I used to do, and it just kind of takes levels of nerdiness to the next level, or it kind of make you think maybe I should have been an actor or something. We'd be playing like Star Wars. We'd just be running around the house playing Star Wars, and it reached the point of like playtime where we decide it's time to attack the Death Star. But what I did before was I basically rearranged my bedroom, put the TV in front, like balanced it on the end of my bed, turned my bed into an X-wing, and put the Star Wars arcade game in the Commodore. You know, the one where you play in an X-wing and you've got to take out TIE fighters, then you've got to do the surface of the Death Star, then you've got to do the trench run.
That's right.
Then you've got to blow it out, and then you start it again. And it's just an infinite loop.
It just runs round and round.
But like, I'd have that loading while we were playing, and then, you know, it'd be like, we've got to attack the Death Star, and I'd be like, it's fucking my Commodore, it's my game. So the other kids could just sit around and wait, and then I'd just run up to my room and I'd go and attack the Death Star.
Yeah. See, I remember my first game, the very first game I played on a Commodore 64, was a game called Midnight Resistance. It came as part of the Night Moves. I can't remember, you got that one, you got some spy game, and some Nightbreed were another game, Split Personalities, Snare. But the thing I remember about Midnight Resistance is, and this is, people go like, what the fuck, like, games don't do that now. But what happened is, you used to load it, you could play it once, and then it'd just stop, and you'd have to reload it again. So, yeah, it took like 2 or 3 minutes to load, because games were on tape then. You play it once, maybe die on first boss, and it's like, oh, I nearly had him that time. I'll just wait another 3 minutes for it to load again so I can play it. Absolutely balmy.
Yeah, they were all mental like that. Like, once you got game over, that's it.
Not all of them. Some of them were just like, you just press fire and go again, but there were some games that were like, yeah, that particular one.
Most of the ones I had, and they'd take like 20 minutes to load. I had Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's like a side-scrolling adventure game.
Like pretty much everything were back then.
It was fucking awesome though. It's like absolutely awesome. Hard as balls. I didn't get very far because I didn't really know what to do.
I didn't plan to talk about this, but you've just said hard as balls, and of course, like, my mind's turned to stuff, Joe, like, that I actually completed.
Yeah.
The first game I ever finished was Murray the Mouse, a Codemasters game.
Murray the Mouse.
Murray the Mouse. It was a Codemasters game in a similar vein of, Joe, the Dizzy games, where you pick items up and stuff like that.
I was going to mention the Dizzy games.
And I finished it at my grandma's house a summer. I used to go to my grand's, Joe, in the summer holidays to see all my cousins and stuff. And we actually managed to finish that game there. It was the first time I ever finished something. And I was immensely proud. Fucking shit game. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. But it was the first time I'd like...
But you finished it.
Yeah, I finished it, and... Yeah, what a shit game. To have Joe's, like, the first ever completion. Oh, man. I actually got my hands on top of my head. What a like, anticlimactic game to just start your completion list on. But, yeah, that was the first game I ever completed.
I think the first game I ever completed, at least the one that I remember completing, the one that really sticks with me, it was the first Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. So I remember I was visiting my dad, and he had his Mega Drive. And this is where I get it from. My shit ability to put games on when people are around and just play them and let people watch them. I mean, it's only natural that, you know, I sort of ended up doing Let's Play videos, you know, because I went around to see my dad. I remember it vividly. It was the first day that he got his Mega Drive, and he had Sonic the Hedgehog, and he was playing it, and I was just watching him. And I was like, can I have a go? And he was like, in a minute. I was like, can I have a go? And he was like, in a minute. And then he'd like die, and he eventually let me have a go, and I got past the first level, Green Hill Zone, and I got to Marble Zone.
Well, it starts getting a bit tricky.
It was, do you know, the like the door that goes, or like the moving thing that goes up and down that you need to get past before it squashes you? It's like the very first proper obstacle.
Yeah, I think it's a column in it, and it just goes up and down.
Yeah, the column that goes up and down. I died on that so many fucking times.
It's like to say that the first enemy in Super Mario has probably got the highest death count of any enemy in a game. It's going to be the same thing for Sonic.
But do you know what's crazy? And like, I remember it vividly to this day. That night I went to bed, and I dreamt about Sonic, and I dreamt about Marble Zone, and I got to that point, but instead of a column going up and down, it was a laser going round and round.
Right.
But I got past it in my dream, and then I woke up the next morning, put it on, managed to get past the column, and I remember it vividly to this day. And that was like, what, 25 years ago?
I think the first time I ever saw a console in action, like in real terms, during someone's house, I'm not talking in like Boots or wherever, because at my cousin's house, he had all my family had Sega stuff, And I think the thing that impressed me most was how nice everything looked.
Yeah.
Because I was still on the Commodore 64 and like 16-bit was a big jump on it back then.
Oh, it was huge.
And the speed which things loaded.
Yeah.
Because I was used to sitting
instant.
5-10 minutes for something to load and then it crap out, whereas they'd put the cartridge in, bam, you're in like seconds.
That's the thing that I miss about cartridge-based gaming. I think it's one of the reasons that I absolutely love the 3DS and like the Nintendo handheld stuff.
Very little downtime on you.
Yeah, instantaneous. It's straight in. But yeah, I want to talk about the Commodore 64 some more.
So do I. Go on, I'll chip in.
Did you ever play Head Over Heels?
I did. And I was awful at it.
Yeah, me too, but I loved it.
I tell you something, like, I know you want to talk more about Head Over Heels, but like that generation of games, when people used to make games, when you look at all the different types of games there were, like if you said to a kid now, oh yeah, this is a game about mowing someone's lawn, they'd laugh at you.
Yeah.
But then it was a legitimate game. Like Hover Bother were a legitimate game. People used to play it. I had games like School Days.
Yeah.
Just being a pain in the arse in school. Mrs. Mop, where you'd like clean floors. I mean, who play a game like that now?
Yeah.
But back then, it'd be like, yeah, I mean, they were so varied and stuff. And we've sort of seen, like, that Joe resurgence with, like, the indie scene and stuff, like, where stuff's just a bit esoteric or just silly, like, joke games.
Well, yeah, but like a lot of the people, especially the indie developers our age, grew up playing those games.
Yeah, so they've sort of brought them back.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been on a hiatus for, what, 10, 15, 20 years?
I mean, they've made them all fucking roguelites, but
Yeah.
they're back.
But, yeah, going back to Head Over Heels.
I was just saying, like, I love that game. It's one of my all-time favourite games. I never finished it, and it's one that I definitely want to go back to, so I might have to dig my Commodore out. In fact, it's weird that we're doing this now, because my dad and stepmom have just bought a new house.
Right.
So, going through the attic, and when I went to visit them like, a few weeks ago, I was just talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I went through the attic and found the Commodore.
Nice.
So, I think, to be honest, with Commodore games, I don't have a problem emulating them, like using MAME or something.
Yeah.
Because they're that old now that it's not really going to make a difference. But I do think Head Over Heels is going to be one that I'm going to have to go back to, because I think my dad finished it. Like he finished most of the games on the Commodore, but I was too young.
God, were he like a game Jedi or some shit? Because those games were fucking solid.
Yeah, but what you got to remember as well is, like, if you go back to a lot of the games on, you know, on the Mega Drive, on the SNES, a lot of them were fucking rock hard, but we were playing them no problem. Like, did you play Ren and Stimpy on Mega Drive?
No, never.
That game was fucking solid. It's really, really difficult, and a lot of these old games were really hard, but we were just good. And I genuinely think that as gamers, we've got worse as games have got easier.
Yeah, they've definitely catered into like just like a completionist thing. The hardest game I think I've ever played. Bear in mind, like, this is before internet. You had to, if you wanted clues for stuff, you had to buy magazines and, you know, walkthroughs and stuff. The hardest one that me and my friend did was probably Echo the Dolphin on Mega Drive.
I couldn't even get out the first bit. I couldn't even make him jump over the wall.
That was fucking solid. It was so cryptic.
Yeah. Like,
at most points, it was like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. It's like, do you know when you see Antiques Roadshow and they're like, oh, I brought a desk in, and guy that's fucking Joe Cleverbod that knows about fucking desks is like, oh, well, actually, if you fucking slide this out here and then you press this button here and do this,
it turns into a car.
and then there's a secret fucking thing here, and then you can pull this drawer out and then start pressing. It's like a fucking transformer.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, just the logic behind Echo the Dolphin was exactly like that.
Did you hear the story that inspired Echo the Dolphin?
No.
It's fucked up. So this apparently, from what the internet tells me, I hope that it's correct, but even if it's not, this is just absolutely mental. So this story at the moment is on the Guardian website, and it's called "The Dolphin Who Loved Me: The NASA-Funded Project That Went Wrong." Quote, in the 1960s, Margaret Lovatt was part of a NASA-funded project to communicate with dolphins. Soon she was living with Peter 24 hours a day in a converted house. So basically they flooded the house so the dolphin could get around. And she was living with this dolphin. and yeah, there was a lab on the upper floor. So they'd like put it in the lift and take it up. So yeah, quote, the lab's upper floors overhung a sea pool that housed the animals. It was cleaned by the tide through openings at each end. The facility had been designed to bring humans and dolphins into closer proximity and was the brainchild of an American neuroscientist, Dr. John Lilly. Here, Lilly hoped to commune with the creatures, nurturing their ability to make human-like sounds through their blowholes. And apparently Dr. Lilly was into some like
Kinky
crazy trippy, like he was a fan of LSD and stuff like that. And
This is StrangePlay, guys. You came for video game talk, and now we're talking about dolphin fetishes.
but anyway, but that's where the inspiration for Echo the Dolphin came from. So like, it's no wonder that game is batshit insane.
Yeah, it's. I don't even know what it's about. I'll be honest. I literally have no, despite completing it, not got a fucking clue what it's about. Going back to the C64, you've covered your favourite game, Head Over Heels. My favourite game on that was a game called by a dev team called, I don't know, it's Thalamus. I think that's how you pronounce it. A game called Creatures 2, Torture Trouble. It was a game that was sort of split into, you had torture scenarios, so you'd have, there were a guy called Clyde, and he were like a little, well, they were called Fuzzy Wuzzies, and he could breathe fire. And the idea was, you had this torture screen. The very first level was a demon cycling a bike, and when the conveyor belt got to the end, there were a press, and the press had squished down, and you had to get to the level to the end before the captured Fuzzy Wuzzy got to the end of the thing and were pressed. So it was sort of like a bit of an action, like puzzle thing. And then you'd have these interlude levels where you'd have a demon and he'd throw a Fuzzy Wuzzy off, and you'd have the person that you just saved from the last level, and you'd have like a trampoline, and you had to bounce them across to the other side, to save them.
Right.
And then once you do like a torture scene, an interlude, a torture scene, I think
a torture scene.
Yeah, torture scene. That's exactly what it's called. Torture scenes. The next one, the second one, was in a snowy level, and there were a guy, a demon, and he had a snowball maker on above him, and it was snowing, and the snow were gathered up, and it made a big snowball, and he collected it, and he threw the snowball into a pit of water which had a crocodile in it, so the water were raising up, and the Fuzzy Wuzzy were on a rope, and if you had something like 3 snowballs to get,
right,
and if you did, if you got there in time, what happened, you had to basically make a rock go across from one side. That was a puzzle. You got a rock across a gap, and then you put the rock inside the snow machine, and the rock fell through, and he went to go grab the snowball, and it landed on his head. Completely gory, this game, for a 8-bit game. If you fucked up, the Fuzzy Wuzzy were bitten in half by this crocodile.
Jesus.
Just blood all over. If you fucked up, to bridge the gap, you had to sort of jump off a thing, time it to land on an owl's head, waggle the joystick to get the owl up to the top to bridge the gap, then shoot the rock from one side to the other. If you fucked up the jump, you landed in a pile of fire and burnt to death. Really, really graphic for a like in a cutesy way. And then the final set of stages. No, not the final set of stages. There were one where you had to fight demons, which were like, you had the demon of the island, which had sort of fly about. And you had tubes, like a vacuum on each side, and you had like a bottom, a middle, and a top. And the demon flew about, and he used to kick like these balls that had eyes on them. And the balls would go to the vacuum, and you could pick, which one you wanted to shoot out of. And you had to shoot the demon so many times. And while this is happening, the demon's flying about, trying to shit on you to kill you. And then after that, you escape to the next island, which is a side-scrolling bit where the guy that you're controlling, Clyde, has got a scuba gear set on, right? And the idea was, the island hopping, you got the people you just rescued to the next island, right? But they couldn't swim. So you balance them on your head and move them from island to island. But it was sort of like a Super Mario level, where there's shit fucking swimming around that could kill you and stuff. And you sort of had to time, people running from one side of the island to the other. So just absolutely bonkers. You just don't get games like that anymore.
I'm watching the ending of it, and they're chasing down this green thing, and they've just pinned him down, and now Clyde's chainsawing him in the eye.
Yeah, it was violent as fuck.
What the fuck is this?
It was violent as fuck.
I'm gonna throw a video up for that for people watching the channel. But holy what?
Yeah, it was violent. It was super
insane.
super violent. Oh, it also had the best cheat ever in a game.
Yeah.
Right, the best cheat in a game you have ever heard. Right, so when you think about cheats, what do you think? Like tapping certain like
Konami code,
yeah, stuff
Sonic
like that.
level select,
Yeah.
like up, down, left, right.
This had the most fucking... You would have never have fucking found this cheat ever, right? What you had to do is, you had to wet your finger, right? And then you had to rub your finger against the fucking port 2. Do you know, like you have joystick port 1, joystick port 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically, he used to dance on the screen, like a big fucking full screen dancing Clyde. And he turned into Maximum Mouse, which were another character from Thalamus's collection of games that used to do. And that used to give you ultimate lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how fucking esoteric is that? Like, just
That's
what?
mental.
Yeah, here, kids, wet your finger and fucking rub it against this electrics. Fucking what?
Yeah. The 80s were a different time, weren't
Yeah, totally what. But yeah, that's my favourite game.
they? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, what about future generations? Did you have you got any early memories from that?
What, as in like Mega Drive stuff and SNES stuff?
Mega Drive, Amiga, or PlayStation?
I never went Amiga, although I had a friend called Nick in primary school, and I think he had an Amiga, and I'd go around like once. I've only been around once or twice. I wasn't very popular at school. He wasn't really my friend. I think he took pity on me one time. But he had Zool. Remember Zool?
So yeah, I had Zool 1 and Zool 2 on Amiga.
Yeah. The ant in like Chubba Chop World or something. That was crazy. James Pond as well.
He's sort of ninja from the Nth Dimension.
Yeah. Do you remember James Pond?
There were two. There were James Pond and James Pond Robocod.
Robocod, yeah.
Another cheat. Do you remember the cheat for Robocod where you spell out cheat?
No.
Yeah, the first 5 items in the game were if you took the first letters for them, so like the chocolate,
Yeah.
and then I don't know what starts with H, like a hockey stick,
Right.
and then basically you spelt the word out, and you picked them up and it gave you like extra lives or something.
Yeah.
Good times, man.
I remember having the Commodore and having certain games on the Commodore, but then seeing them on the Mega Drive and just seeing how completely different they were.
Yeah, my
'Cause I used to have Altered Beast on the Commodore. On the Commodore 64 I had Altered Beast. And then playing it on the Mega Drive, that was a completely different experience.
all my friends had Commodore 64s. I had a friend that had an Atari. I can't remember which model it was, but it was one of like the counterparts of the Amiga.
Yeah.
But my cousin, Leanne, had an Amstrad. And we had a lot of the same games, but I'd look at them and think, wow, they look fucking ugly as fuck. And like, you look at screenshots of Joe stuff on Spectrum and go, ooh, look at that, 4 colours. You know, I've got 8 colours on mine. You see 64 for life.
Was it Pac-Man? That one of the infamous Pac-Man ports.
On
Was that on
Atari?
What was that?
Atari
What was that
2.
on? Yeah,
Yeah.
it must have been. It's literally just like 3 colours look like shit, but it's infamously like one of the worst ports. in
Yeah,
history or
someone
something.
mentions that game as their introduction into gaming,
Yeah.
which is like coming home and hearing like a bit of a kerfuffle upstairs, and when you go to see what it is, it's your mum copulating with a dog, and your dad's in fucking wardrobe whacking himself off to it. It's like, it's a distressing intro, do you know, to what adult life can be, you know? It's just, it's awful. Have you ever played it? Have you played Pac-Man on 2600?
Nope.
It's a flicker. It's awful. Pac-Man doesn't even turn.
No, I've seen
don't turn,
video of it, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
This is something else.
It flickers because they can only like show one sprite moving at a time. It's dog shit, absolute dog shit. You know, but people played it at the time because, like, I mean, games were the future then, and John, we didn't know any better.
How many games did you play that you had absolutely no idea what you were doing? You just enjoyed playing them.
On Commodore 64 or
Yeah.
in general?
Or in
Commodore
general.
64, I had a Paradroid were one. I had no idea what I was doing on that. Literally none. I didn't even know the point of the game. I just used to just stick around.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I got into emulating in like the mid-noughties that I actually played it and just finished it.
Yeah.
Elite were another one. Literally no idea. I ain't got a fucking clue what I was doing in that game. And it was same with the Amiga version as well. I had it on Pirate. I had a Pirate edition, and I bought Frontier 2 Elite.
Yeah.
To get the manual, so I knew what I was doing. And even after reading manual, it was still clear as mud.
Did you ever play Impossible Mission?
I didn't know.
That game is... I had no idea what to do. All I did in that game was it's like side-scrolling kind of platform puzzler, and you're a dude who just like does somersaults, and there was a series of lifts, and you'd run into a lift and go up and down to a different floor.
Oh, hang on a minute. Well, this where it were like black graphics. He were meant to be a ninja. Because that sounds familiar. When you jumped, he sort of did a somersault.
Yeah. And he was
I think I might have played
jumping
that.
over robots and stuff.
I think there were a lot of games then that were just like, they just sort of expected you to know what to do. It'd never fly now.
No.
It'd never fly. Even the most difficult games like Dark Souls sort of give you some sort of direction in a way that it's like, well, there's a boss this way and you haven't beaten him, you know?
Yeah.
It's cleverness in its design, whereas back in those days, in the 80s and like early 90s, it would just like the Castlevania. There's some things in Castlevania where you have to kneel against a wall, and it never explains that.
No.
To do stuff, it's just like people were just expected to fucking find this shit out. So
Did you ever play Last Ninja?
probably I like I said.
Isometric action game.
Oh no, I didn't actually.
You go
thinking
screen to
about it.
screen ninjaing things. Again, that was another one that I enjoyed the hell out of, but never finished because I just wasn't very good.
You mentioning that reminds me of a game called Vendetta. Do you remember a game called Vendetta?
No.
That was sort of like isometric, so like quite violent.
Yeah.
Again, I've no idea what that game's about. Just going about killing people, I guess. I never completed it. On the hundreds of games I had on Commodore 64, you could probably count on one hand the ones that I completed. Or the ones that you could complete, because they're just, some of them just loop round, don't they? Just loop round and loop round.
You must have played RoboCop.
I did, yeah. That had an awesome piece of music.
The music that was ripped off in the Ariston advert.
Yeah, that's right.
That was Ocean, wasn't it? Who did RoboCop?
Presumably, yeah.
Because they did Head Over Heels as well. Like I think most of the great games came from Ocean during that time.
Yeah, I seem to remember as well, like, this don't happen now, like, people buy the games either direct from Steam or PSN and Xbox, whatever.
Yeah.
But back then, you could go and, like, you could go to a newsagent's and they'd have a carousel and it'd just be full of games.
Yes.
And they'd be like a quid.
Yes.
It'd be like £2.
We used to go down to the co-op and, carousel of cassettes.
Yeah, and they'd have stuff like, they'd have numbers on them and they'd go, oh, this is part of the action part, or this is the story part, and you get stuff like New Zealand Story and Rainbow Islands. And
yeah, Rainbow Islands was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember I was on holiday in, I think it was Jersey when I was a kid, and there was Rainbow Island there and one of the arcade machines, and when my brother broke his arm a few years later, we were in the hospital on the children's ward, and they fucking had it there. So there's my brother waiting to be seen, and I'm playing on Rainbow Islands like a good brother. But I'm like, I can't help him. I'm not a doctor. I can't set his arm. I'm gonna stay out the way.
I tell you what's aged really well from that era, from that string of games. Bubble Bobble.
Yes.
It's aged like fantastically. A couple of years ago, I went to... My family used to go to Morecambe. We used to have like holidays there, big group holidays where all the family go for like a long weekend. And on one side, there used to be a pub called the Battery, and down that side of the seaside resort, there were an old arcade, and they had stuff like Space Invaders and Pac-Man and stuff, and I were in my element. But it sort of crushed me because, like, you have all these good memories of these games, and you play them, and it's like, oh man, I walked away from Space Invaders because I was bored.
Yeah.
And then I went on to Pac-Man. Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man, still plays as well as it ever did.
We were in Vegas last year, me and my girlfriend were, and she games a lot. And she's a few years older than me. She's a couple of years older than you, so she grew up with all the like arcade games and stuff as well. And two things that she constantly bangs on about, or at least used to bang on about, was how good at Tetris she is and how good at Miss Pac-Man she is. And last April we were in Bath, and we were in one of those. We were in a bar, and it had the arcade table with a MAME emulator on it and all the arcade games. And Miss Pac-Man was on it, so she had a go. And I was like, yeah, you're all right, you know. You're better than me, but you're not like bragging rights good. And we were in Vegas, and we were walking around the arcades, and she was like, we've got to find a Miss Pac-Man machine. If anywhere's going to have an authentic Miss Pac-Man machine, it will be Vegas. And we were walking around, we fucking found one.
Nice.
Like in a basement of some casino. There was an arcade downstairs, and hidden away in the corner was a Ms. Pac-Man machine. It was a quarter for 3 lives. So none of this like put in a pound a go. It was like still a quarter. And she put a quarter in, and I didn't have a go for about 20 minutes, half an hour, because she was just fucking destroying it.
How far did she get? Do you know? How many levels did she get in?
It got to the point that they just kept having babies. Like, it keeps repeating.
Yeah.
So I think it must have been like act 4 or 5, I think.
See, I'm awful at Pac-Man. I can get maybe 5 screens in if I have a good run, but
yeah.
I'm awful at it.
Yeah, she just keeps going. And the thing is as well, it was the proper speed, so it was really fast. And the reason that she kept fucking up when she was playing it in Bath is because it was emulated and it was slow.
Right.
So it was like, no, it doesn't feel right. And as soon as we got on the arcade machine, she's like, this is it. Whoa, 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 just fucking destroyed it. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna play you at Tetris.
Do you going back to the like 80s and 90s? Do you ever remember going into your city with your mum or dad and going to like one of those mom and pop owned cafes owned by like some Greek dude that's like they do proper meals? Like you don't go to McDonald's, can't afford it. We're off to go see Stavros the Greek and fucking get like a beef dinner. And in those places, they always had a sit-down cab, and it always had something like Bomb Jack in it.
Yeah.
Or Pac-Land. Do you know the side-scrolling?
Yeah. That was Pac-Man 2, wasn't it? Pac-Man 2, Pac-Land.
Yeah, I was fucking awful at that as well.
Yeah.
I've never been... Like, in real life, I'd never get killed by a fire hydrant, but in those games, I fucking did.
It's like Paperboy. It's like Paperboy, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the funniest thing about those games as well. They take that era of games, they take the most mundane job and turn it into a fun thing. It's like...
Well, like you were saying, like you get the jobs where you'd be like sweeping the floor.
I mean, we're sort of getting that now, like with, like with Euro Truck Simulator and stuff. They're just different, like they're more complicated, but yeah, they were dead simple concepts that are easy to follow and you just eat pounds.
Do you remember the game Barbarian?
I do.
Do you remember the art for the cover of Barbarian?
Wasn't it Wolf?
It was
from
Wolf
Gladiators.
from Gladiators, yeah.
And it had that slightly seedy woman like on her knees in front of him. And it's like
really shiny.
Yeah.
She was really shiny for some reason. It kind of reminded me of a Frankfurter. That skin tone of a Frankfurter.
I tell you what, I do remember going to the seedy like game art stuff. Used to get a magazine called Zap. Do you remember Zap 64? Right. I used to get that, and I used to get Commodore Farmer, and there were other magazines as well. but I remember when Elvira were a thing in 90s, and it was just like, fucking hell, just posters everywhere of Elvira.
Yeah.
God damn, like, for a pre-pubescent boy, they really fucking made nights fly past, you know?
So we've been banging on for a while, and to be honest, I could keep going.
Same here. I could go for hours. We'll maybe do an extended episode of like more early gaming memories somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I definitely think this is a subject where a part 2 is going to have to be a thing. But we're going to cut it short because, like I said at the beginning, we asked you guys on Twitter if you wanted to share your earliest gaming memories with us, and a few of you got back to us. So take it away, Simon. Read some out. Let's share the community, see what they pop their gaming cherries on as well.
Andy Godwin had a good natter with us at Big Copman. He says, just remember praying to the C64 God that the tape was actually going to load this time after 26 attempts. Yeah, I fucking remember this as well. Absolutely. Like, you'd watch it and you'd know exactly when it crashed. You'd remember, do you know, like they used to have like the little numbers on the cassette tape, and you knew if it hadn't loaded by a specific number, it was like, fucking hell, it's crashed, it's not worked.
Or if it was, because you remember that there was like multicoloured lines and
stuff
on the
screen.
screen.
It used to do the...
Yeah, it sounded like Skrillex.
Yeah, it's just fucking... If you were lucky, you actually got some music and a picture to look at.
Yeah. But you'd know on that screen as well if it didn't go past a certain point. Like I'd put a game on and then go and make a cup of tea, and if I came back and it was still blue, I'm like, that's fucked.
Yeah,
you got to turn it off. Well, I was young, so it wasn't fucked. It was it didn't load, and I'd rewind it and I'd start again.
Yeah. He goes on to say he played Whizball, IK Plus, Elite, Last Ninja Series, Target Renegade, Kung Fu Master, Commando, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, to name a few. IK Plus is one of the best fighting games I've ever played.
I didn't play it.
What? You never played it? Oh,
never
fucking
played
amazing. See, I understand like the appeal of Street Fighter and stuff like that, but it's a bit complicated for me. Whereas that were all about Joe duking people out, and because it had such a small moveset, it were more about it wasn't just quick reactions, it was more mind games and stuff, Joe, with positioning.
Did you ever play Bushido Blade on the PlayStation?
I did, yeah. It's like one it kills.
Yeah, it's like proper, like it sounds like that a little bit, but kind of less complicated because it's on a much
It also
machine,
had the best Easter eggs ever. So like obviously you had a keyboard in front of you, and if you pressed T, you could make an opponent's trousers fall down.
Brilliant.
It's just fucking, you know, like different stuff like that. Elite played that as well. The Kung Fu Master ones, just some great games, like great memories.
What else did he do? He gave us a few more as well, didn't he?
It says, Monty on the Run, Thing on a Spring, Impossible Mission.
See, he played Impossible Mission, so he knows what I'm on about. He probably knew how to play it, though.
Is it?
He probably wasn't just running around going up and down lifts until he fucking died.
His other memories were trying to get past the Leisure Suit Larry adult test right at the beginning of a game on an Amiga, too young to get American adult humour. I'm finally guessing an answer that got me past it, giggling like an only teenager at the sexy bits in the game. Right,
my girlfriend has exactly the same memory.
I never played it. I always remember those games, Joe, those like sort of like Monkey Island and Flight of the Amazon Queen and what have you. They used to come on like a billion
like
fucking
the old
discs.
Sierra games and the old Lucasfilm games. Or LucasArts.
Yeah, the Indiana Jones, and they'd come on like 12 discs, and you'd just be like, you'd move one screen, it'd be like, insert disc 6, insert disc 5.
It's like playing Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, it's just awful. Like, you spent more time fucking swapping discs. It got so bad at the end of the Amiga's lifespan, I had a game called Skid Marks. I know, hilarious fucking
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Skid Marks, it was a racing game.
Yeah,
like an isometric
racing game.
And that came on, like, I think it came on 8 discs. A fucking racing game on 8 discs. Bonkers. His final memory
is he still banging on, is he?
Yeah, he's fucking guy. He sent us just Andy, send us a fucking email next time, will you? It says, watching their mate score an own goal from a whistling kick-off too by firing a banana shot right at his keeper and scoring from the halfway line. Do you know something? I never played Kickoff 2 that much. I don't like football like that much.
No,
it's okay.
The first football game I ever played was, I think it was World Cup 96 on the Mega Drive.
Right, the one that I played was Sensible Soccer, which I think was 92, 91 and 92. Sensible World of Soccer were probably the most fun I've ever had in a football game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they ever managed to get it. Very much of its time, like I played it on. It came out on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not that into sports games. They don't really interest me. The next comment's for you.
Next, we've got the memory from Marcus Ralphson, which is at Marcus Ralphson on Twitter, who says that his earliest game in memory is playing Digimon World and having robot dinos poop everywhere. And I completely
See, this is weird for me because he'll be listening to us and it's like, what are these fucking guys talking about? Because obviously he came into gaming so much later than us.
Yeah, like Digimon World's on the PS1.
What year was this?
It was at least 16 years, maybe earlier, because I used to play it with Tomcat.
We should mention that Tomcat's his brother.
1999 it came out.
99? God damn, so yeah, it's like 18 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
So how old do you reckon he is? Maybe born in like 94?
20s? He's got to be he's probably as old as Tomcat.
Fucking hell. It seems like just yesterday, and he's 20. He's a fucking adult. He's paying bills and shit.
Yeah. It's crazy though. Like I actually tracked a copy of that game down.
It's expensive, isn't it?
Last year before. And yeah, so fucking happy. I'm a huge Digimon fan, and I love that game. I absolutely love that game, and the fact that that's someone's first memory is crazy. But it's a great game to have a first memory of. So
here's another one that's feels so far into my gaming career. Ryan Goodman at the Ryan Goodman says, getting frustrated while playing Croc, PlayStation 1's Super Mario 64.
Did you know that Croc actually started life as a Yoshi game?
I didn't know that.
But they couldn't get the license, so they changed it to a crocodile.
I always remember when I was in high school, it were mostly Sony people. We had a couple of Saturn people, mostly Sonys, and then you had the Nintendo ones. And the Nintendo people used to laugh at Croc. But let's be honest, it wasn't a bad game for the time. It was perfectly acceptable. I mean, it's probably like old that by now, like a lot of that generation's games were. But yeah, I can see people playing that as the first game because it's kind of kid friendly, and it wasn't exactly a stroll in the park, was it? There was stuff to do in there. It was right. A view from my sofa at that sofa guy says, Loom, I can still hum one of the tunes from that game. Haunts my dreams.
What is Loom?
It was a graphical adventure. I actually played this, but it was one of those games that I didn't really know what was going on. There were a lot of puzzles and stuff, Joe, that were based around music, I seem to remember. Sort of like Ocarina of Time, actually. From what I remember, Joe, you had to play certain tunes at certain places to get stuff to go. My memory of it is really, really hazy though. Like, it's a long time ago. Just thinking about it though, it reminds me of Magica. Joe, the robe-wearing wizards from Magica. So, yeah, that's a thing. Chris Murphy at Apreno. My first memory is playing my cousin's Atari 2600 Pac-Man. I was so naive, I didn't realise how crap it was. I was hooked though.
Oh, Chris.
It's fucking rubbish. It's absolute rubbish.
Yeah, we covered this earlier, and to be honest, covering it again just makes me want to throw up in my mouth. I'm so sorry, Chris. That's horrendous.
It's awful.
Next, we've got a memory from Jim Boxey at Jimbo13. Playing Operation Wolf and Pac-Land, I think, on the ZX Spectrum. Wasn't blown away by games until I got a Sega Master System, though. I had Operation Wolf as well on the Master System, and it was amazing. Did you ever play it?
I think everyone played Operation Wolf at some point.
What a fantastic game. So they're good. There's worse games to
You don't
play.
really see that sort of game again, do you? Like, I know we've gone over this, but that side-scrolling shooting thing it's a dead genre. Just don't.
To reiterate on a joke I made earlier, I'm just waiting for an indie to bring it back as a roguelite.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Especially if they could get like... I'd say the last one I played were on Nintendo Wii. Ghost...
Yeah?
Ghost something? Oh god, I'd have to look at my
Oh,
games.
I know which one you mean.
Like you used to shoot ghosts. Yeah, it were pretty good. I wonder what game the Sega Master System sold him. Alex Kidd? Built in?
No, that's a good question, actually. So, Jim, if you want to leave a comment, let us know which game that was, or tweet at us at StrangePlay UK. We're really interested to know which Master System game it was that got you hooked, and we'll be sure to mention it in part 2 of this series. Next up, we've got a game from Joe Taylor at Pixel Ritual. Pitfall on the Atari. Yes, I really am that old. Joe, it's fine, so is Simon.
Yeah. My friend Peter actually had a 2600, and Pitfall were one of the games that we played, and I don't think we made it more than 4 or 5 screens in. We fucking sucked at it.
I think I only managed 1 or 2 myself, to be honest.
I had it on C64 as well, and same there. Just completely wrecked me. Games then didn't fuck about. They were brutal.
Yeah, they were.
Tom Blake at TBlake7. Went to the childminder's house after school. He had a Mega Drive with tons of games. Watched him play Sonic. Then he let me have a go. History. Yeah. I think Sonic, Mario, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Croc even.
Digimon.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of kid-friendly entries in there in gaming. Like, it's not all.
And then you've got you going Creatures 2, where you chainsaw a gherkin in the face.
Thing is, that game was sold like on being cute and stuff. Like, do you know, if you just looked at screenshots that weren't moving, it were very like cutesy platformery. There were no real blood.
Oh, no doubt, yeah.
But yeah, when you got it home and you put it in, and your parents were like, "What the fuck have I bought?" Oh my god! it was like that was my Mortal Kombat essentially.
Yeah.
That was my Mortal Kombat. That was the violent one that made me into the psychopath I am today. Especially if you listen to last episode.
So we've got Creatures to blame for you then.
And a shitty upbringing. Well, no, it's not a shitty upbringing. I had a great upbringing, but yeah, a northern upbringing.
Damn pit.
12 hours a day. Uphill both ways.
12 hours a day? You don't know you're born, mate.
Yeah, and then he used to go to mill. Put another 12 hours in. Oh, fucking hell. We're getting really sidetracked. Right.
So we hope that you enjoyed this trip down memory lane for this Greatest Memories episode with myself and Simon. And again, everyone, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who replied on Twitter and gave us your gaming memories. It's nice to know that a lot of people shared what we shared back in the day, and we're definitely going to have to do a part 2 of this, because as you can tell, me and Simon have a lot more to say on old games, retro games from our childhood. So again, if you have anything that you'd like to add, throw it in the comments. If you've got any gaming memories for yourself, if you remember playing any of these games, if there's stuff that you want to add to the conversation, do so in the comments below. You can reach us on Twitter at StrangePlay UK, or you can come and join the Facebook page, talk to us there, which is facebook.com/StrangePlayUK.
You can catch us next time, where we'll be talking about a roundup of August news. Until then,
thanks for listening.
Goodbye.